There is a tree that Mediterranean families planted in 1850, and their great-great-great-grandchildren are still harvesting today. One planting, 170 years of continuous income. No replanting, no irrigation, no fertilizer, just annual harvests worth $180,000 per acre. Between 2005 and 2010, New Mexico farmers calculated the same numbers. Plant once at $8,000 per acre, wait 12 years, and harvest $180,000 annually for 200 years. The trees require zero water after the second year. Zero fertilizer, zero pesticides. They survive droughts that kill almonds. They produce more revenue per acre than any commodity crop in California. And then the USDA made it impossible to distinguish them from Chinese imports, causing metallic taste syndrome. The Almond Board of California, controlling a $6 billion industry that consumes 10% of the state's water, lobbied to deny water permits, while stone pine needs no water at all. They flooded markets with Chinese nuts selling for $6 per pound, while domestic growers needed $18 for quality Mediterranean varieties. They convinced banks the crop was too risky, despite 700 years of Italian wealth. They blocked crop insurance, they destroyed labeling protection, and they did it between 2011 and 2015, precisely as the first American plantings approached harvest. This is stone pine, Pinus pinea, the tree that threatens California's most powerful agricultural lobby, because you cannot monopolize water when the superior crop does not need water. In the Tuscan hills, Villa Rossini keeps ledgers from 1723. The records document 47 stone pine trees planted that year. The 1727 entry is the last mention of irrigation, and the trees never needed water again. The first harvest came in 1735, 840 pounds from 47 trees, sold for 420 florins. The average Florence craftsman earned 80 florins annually. One harvest equaled 5 years of wages. By 1740, those trees generated enough to purchase 200 adjacent acres. By 1770, the income built marble-floored additions and sent 3 sons to university. The trees planted in 1723 produced through 1900, 177 years from one planting. At £75 per tree annually, those 47 trees generated £623,925 over their lifetime. In 2023, 31 original trees remain productive at 300 years old, generating $44,000 annually for descendants who never planted them. Vatican records show Cistercian monasteries planting stone pine in 1268, and those groves supported communities until 1789, 521 years of income from one planting. The Italian agricultural census of 1850 documented that estates with mature pine groves had land values 3 to 5 times higher than grain properties. Stone pine produced 16 to 24 times more revenue per acre than wheat, with 0 annual inputs. The Roman cookbook Apicius from 77 AD featured 17 pine nut recipes, food of patricians, not peasants. For 2,000 years, Mediterranean families understood: plant once, harvest for centuries, transfer wealth across generations. In spring 2005, Michael Torres stood on his New Mexico ranch doing math that would change his life. His 640 acres generated $18,000 annually from cattle, $28 per acre. He was 52, carrying $140,000 in debt. Then he read Mother Earth News, an article titled "The Italian Tree That Banks Don't Want You to Know About." Tuscan families were earning $340,000 annually from 12 acres planted in 1890. Torres calculated 100 acres, 4,000 trees, 50 pounds each, $12 per pound, equals $2.4 million per year. Even conservatively, that was 133 times more income than cattle. He called Italy, and he spent $140 in phone charges talking to Giovanni Rossini, whose family managed groves his great-great-grandfather planted. Rossini said, "In Italy we plant for grandchildren. In America, you plant for the bank. This is why Italian families stay wealthy for 300 years, and American farmers go bankrupt every generation." Torres ordered 2,000 seedlings for $8,000 and planted 50 acres. He irrigated twice weekly the first summer and once weekly the second summer. In year 3, he stopped completely because the trees were established. Total investment, $14,400. By 2008, 7 farmers formed the Mesilla Valley Stone Pine Association, 240 acres total. They hired an Italian agronomist in 2010. His assessment was that the trees were growing faster than Italian specimens, and that growers should achieve 75 to 100 pounds per tree. Torres calculated his future. 2,000 trees times 75 pounds equals 150,000 pounds annually, starting 2017. At $18 wholesale, that translated to $2.7 million per year from trees planted once. In November 2009, Torres presented at the New Mexico Farm Conference. He expected 30 attendees. The actual turnout was 85 in the room, and 30 mobbing him afterward. By 2010, nurseries reported 400% increases in orders, signaling growing farmer interest. Then banks said. In spring 2011, Michael Torres applied for $250,000 to expand. Farm Credit Services responded that stone pine was classified as a specialty crop, high risk. The crop lacked crop insurance eligibility, and the lender was unable to approve the loan. The catch-22 was this: without insurance, there were no loans. Without 10 years of U.S. production data, there was no insurance. Stone pine requires 12 years to produce. Farmers had to wait 22 years before banks would finance what farmers could not plant. Every cooperative member seeking expansion loans was rejected. The movement that exploded from 2005 to 2010 hit a wall in 2011. The 240 acres would mature, but expansion stopped. In February 2014, David Chen, an almond farmer who had planted 40 acres of stone pine in 2007, received a letter from the Fresno County Water Authority. His approved variance was placed under routine review. The April hearing was an ambush. Dr. Patricia Hammond, a hydrologist at the University of California, Davis, testified for 40 minutes. Her testimony was funded by a $2.3 million Almond Board grant. She argued that stone pine's deep taproot might access confined aquifer layers, creating groundwater competition. Chen objected. His stone pine had used zero irrigation for 5 years, saving 160 acre-feet annually compared to almonds. Hammond responded by calling deep water accessed by stone pine unregulated extraction, while describing shallow water used by almonds as managed. The decision allowed Chen to keep his 40 acres, but denied any expansion and blocked new variances across the county. Within 6 months, 3 other counties adopted identical policies. Stone pine water permits were effectively ended in California by June 2014. Simultaneously, Chinese pine nuts flooded markets. In 2008, 47 tons arrived at $5.80 per pound, undercutting Italian imports at $16 by 60%. By 2012, 640 tons were arriving annually. Korean pine nuts cause pine mouth syndrome, a metallic taste that can last for weeks in 10 to 20% of consumers. Mediterranean stone pine never causes this, but FDA labeling allowed both to be sold simply as pine nuts, with no distinction. In 2013, the cooperative petitioned the FDA for mandatory species labeling. In October 2013, the FDA responded that current regulations provided adequate information and species labeling was voluntary, not required. 3 weeks later, Pacific Rim Commodities, a Chinese import company, filed a trademark opposition that blocked the cooperative's American stone pine application, citing the FDA response. Legal fees totaled $28,000. They abandoned the trademark in March 2015. Leaked emails from 2019 revealed coordination. Messages from September 2013 between Pacific Rim's counsel and Downey Brand LLP, the Almond Board's law firm, discussed strategic opposition to domestic branding. An Almond Board executive wrote that they needed to ensure domestic stone pine could not establish premium positioning that might attract California acreage conversion. Banking formalized simultaneously. By 2014, major agricultural lenders classified stone pine as Tier 4 specialty, requiring executive approval. Meanwhile, in November 2012, the USDA Risk Management Agency denied crop insurance, saying there was insufficient U.S. production history and a minimum of 10 years of commercial data was required. 4 suppression fronts, water permits, labeling, insurance, and banking locked into place from 2012 to 2014, precisely as New Mexico plantings entered their final 5 years before harvest. Between 2011 and 2015, the Almond Board spent $12.4 million on agricultural research used to justify restrictions and $3.7 million lobbying water policy. They had built a perfect regulatory cage. They did not realize the trees were growing outside it. In September 2017, Michael Torres watched harvest crews work through trees he had planted 12 years earlier. The count was 142,000 pounds from 2,000 trees, 71 pounds per tree, exactly mid-range. He had built market channels, bypassing wholesale commodity pricing. A 3-tiered strategy guided sales: direct online sales at $26 per pound, farmers markets at $24 per pound, and wholesale at $14 per pound to specialty distributors. By 2017, he had pre-sold 22,000 pounds online, $528,000 before harvest. At farmers markets, 18,000 pounds, $432,000. Wholesale, 8,000 pounds, $112,000. Total revenue from 2017 to 2018 was $1,692,000. Costs were $128,000. Net profit was $1,564,000 from 50 acres. The other 6 cooperative members had comparable results. The total for the cooperative was $4.7 million. Average per farmer, $671,000. They were millionaires, every single one. In January 2018, High Country News published the article, "The Millionaire Farmer's Big Ag Doesn't Want You to Know About," featuring Torres's bank statements. Within a week, 340 farmers emailed asking how. In March 2018, Torres organized the first Stone Pine Symposium. He had expected 30 attendees, but 127 showed up from 6 states. By the end of 2018, 40 farmers had planted 380 new acres using personal savings. But the real breakthrough was generational. Torres's son Daniel, 34, working in technology and earning $95,000 annually, watched his father deposit $1,564,000. In 2019, Daniel quit and returned home. His father's offer was 30% of net income. Daniel's 2019 income was $468,000. He rebuilt the website, launched an Instagram account, and created subscriptions. Online sales doubled. This pattern repeated across all 7 farms. Children came home, not from obligation, but from opportunity. They brought digital marketing, social media, and business strategy. In 2020, Daniel's TEDx talk, "The Tree My Parents Planted Paid Off My Student Loans in 3 months," received 1.2 million YouTube views. Between 2020 and 2023, 80 additional farmers planted stone pine. United States acreage reached 800 acres. Then California's water crisis forced the issue. In 2021, the Central Valley Project announced 0% water allocations. Almond orchards died. David Chen told the Los Angeles Times in August 2021 that while his almonds died from drought, the trees California tried to ban were thriving. His 200 almond acres were 40% dead and grossing $240,000. His 40 stone pine acres were in perfect health and grossing $1.4 million. Per acre, almonds averaged $1,200, stone pine $35,000 per acre. The article triggered public questions. Why allocate water to almonds using 10% of the state supply while blocking stone pine with 0%? In September 2021, Assemblymember Bauer Kahan introduced Assembly Bill 1647 to provide $5 million to the University of California, Davis to research drought-resistant crops including stone pine. The Almond Board lobbied against the bill. It passed anyway. Governor Newsom signed it in October 2021. The public outcry was about the blocking of alternatives. In March 2023, the University of California, Davis published an analysis showing stone pine produces $25,000 to $40,000 per acre with 0 irrigation, versus almonds at $4,000 to $6,000 per acre, while requiring $1,200 to $2,400 in annual water costs. The report concluded the primary barriers were regulatory, not agronomic or economic. By 2024, 1,100 acres producing stone pine were generating $27 to $38 million annually for 150 farmers. Average income ranged from $180,000 to $250,000 per year. Torres exceeds $1.5 million annually. His cumulative net from 2017 to 2024 was $11.8 million from a $14,400 investment. His return on investment was 81,944%. These plantings are generating real wealth. In December 2023, Torres turned 70. His grandson, Mateo, who was 11, asked whether the trees would be there when he was old. Torres replied that the trees would be there when his grandchildren were old. Every generation of our family will harvest them, the same way Italian families have for 700 years. That is why I planted them, not for money I will spend, but for wealth that outlasts me. This is about generations. The suppression succeeded at stopping mass adoption. It failed at stopping the evidence. Evidence growing in the ground, producing million-dollar harvests, outliving everyone who tried to suppress it, is the most powerful resistance of all. The Almond Board spent 13 years trying to make sure you would never know this. But now you do. And the trees do not care. They just keep growing,